that a leg sticking out the back?
This is what the podcast is going to be all about, is the cat.
What is that thing sticking out the back? The second film I made at that university was nominated Best Short Film at Venice Film Festival in Italy, and it was the first film festival I ever attended. I was like a deer in the headlights.
Well, that's a way to start, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a good start.
I mean, Venice is like, that's it.
Yeah, it's one of the top film festivals in the world. It's one of the oldest and one of the top. So, film festivals have been a very important part of my life ever since then. I get to meet people. I get to see films, make new connections. People that I'm working with today, some of them I met at film festivals and formed relationships at film festivals. So the opportunity to screen at Indie Film Fest next Friday and Saturday, I'm really, really happy about the opportunity.
You haven't done Indie Film Fest before?
Yes, they screened Grateful, the Jenny Barabitsky story, I think 6 years ago.
So is most of the work that you do is documentaries, though?
Yes, most of what I do is documentary film work. Yeah.
So where else have you been a part of film festivals? What other countries? Mostly international, though, right?
Yeah, quite a few festivals in the United States, London, Poland, Heartland here in town, Sedona in Arizona, quite a few.
How many films have you made?
Well, I have credits on films probably in the neighborhood of 100, something like that.
So what is your general role, director?
My primary role is producer. I think that's what I'm best at. With F-2020, which is a film that features this guy sitting next to me named Quincy. And Quincy's fabulous, by the way, in the film.
So fabulous.
With F-22, I both produced it and directed it.
So that was an interesting film because it was during COVID, and so I saw a lot of footage was your footage from inside your castle, right? I mean,
yeah.
So how did you go about collaborating on that when you were faced with the challenge of working separately to put a cohesive film together?
I would say we got lucky. I'm not a filmmaker. I don't know how anybody does it. I know that they take a ton of time, but I think you started technically filming maybe a little bit in 2020?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
A little bit in 2020?
Yes, there's some footage I took at your shop in November of 2020 in the film.
I mean, like, COVID's a whole other conversation. But then what he did after that was continue, I think, like an artist would do, is just continue to build information, really. And then I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it because I can't imagine the editing process for a filmmaker. Like for me, is like, especially when I'm a painter instead of like other stuff that I do, like you don't have 72 hours worth of work and then you scrape it away to make it an hour and 10 minutes.
I'll tell you what, I have been a jack of all trades in the arts. Obviously, my background, but with the podcast, I'm full on doing a lot more time involved in editing than I planned on doing originally, but it's a labor of love for me to
Is it? But isn't that? I think, since you're an artist too, is that such a weird new thing for your brain?
Well, it's not new. I actually had a kind of a run with doing filmmaking a long time ago, prior to like having success with music and or sculpture work.
Yeah.
There was a time when I dabbled in both animation and filmmaking. And so, I mean, I already kind of, like, since I know the software for creating music, I work in digital. I'm constantly on a computer, so I'm working in programs all the time. Video editing is kind of second nature for the software and the tools that are in it. And so it's really just, I find video editing to be like, construct with the filming and then deconstruct and then reconstruct again.
Like you build a narrative. Like that's what I told Paul. It took him a couple of years to get the movie done, and I had a few friends that were like, "When's the movie gonna get done? When's the movie gonna get done?" I'm like, "This stuff takes time." Number one, I always say I'm just a character in the film.
You are a character
because that's all I am. But then he could. You had the opportunity to construct whatever narrative you wanted to, and that's where the editing process just blows my mind, is because the story could have gone 1,000 different ways.
Yeah. Yes,
and
indeed.
and he had to decide this is what the final product's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously had a vision for it, and that probably changes course 100 different times as you're doing it, and what you maybe started with for the vision for the project could completely, so, like if
Oh, it
if you
totally,
were
yeah.
if you were starting that video or that film originally about Quincy and his process, and then COVID happened. All of a sudden, that changes the dynamic of what you're going to do.
and
Well, even still, it changed.
yeah, and that's a dynamics. One of the important dynamics about documentary film work is that the story emerges and develops as you're making the film.
Sure.
Now, a scripted film, you can write the script, you set the story, you have almost complete control over what the story is, whatever you want it to be. You know, you can change the script, you can write whatever story you want. But with a documentary, if you're going to be honest,
It's almost an evolution of.
the story emerges over time and it changes and develops. And it's really important to me to tell a story with integrity because, like Quincy just mentioned, you can go in almost any direction with the footage you have for a film like this. And you know, I've seen some documentaries where I just felt like they were dishonest. And
What do you mean?
if you have a particular point of view, and you know, often it's a like a political point of view. I mean, and I think the Melania documentary is an
Oh.
example of a documentary that's not honest.
Manipulative.
Well,
it's manipulative.
yeah,
It's not honest because it
Look at who the content is and
Yeah.
the narrative that surrounds.
Yeah.
Look at the tiptoeing you'd have to do around anything involved with anybody to put out something in politics.
it's kind of like whitewashing, making her be and look like somebody she really isn't.
Of course.
You know, and it's just showing one side of her, which is like the fashion and the beauty. And I haven't seen the documentary; I've read about it, but my understanding is it's a very surface type of approach where you show, you know, her beautiful shoes and her clothes and her settings, but it doesn't really, it's not genuine. It doesn't really reflect who she is.
Well, it doesn't
in a genuine
translate
way.
as authentic.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, it's an example, but it's a point of view, and it kind of becomes propaganda because it's so polished.
This one was definitely propaganda.
Yeah, it's so polished and kind of sanitized that it lacks, you know, authenticity. On the other hand, you know, you probably could have taken the same footage that they had for that film and made her out to look like a complete, like just a horrible person.
Well, you
So-
know who's not going to let that happen.
Right. But I mean, you know, for me as a documentary filmmaker, like the way I portrayed Quincy and all the other characters in the film, his wife,
my whole family,
his wife Nikki,
Luke.
Christos, Luke, you know, we could have chosen footage, and I say we because me and my editors, I can do almost nothing by myself. Everything about this film was a team effort, a team project. But we could have chosen footage that made any of those characters look completely different than the way they do in the film now.
Sure, I do the same thing. Like right now, when I'm doing editing for this podcast, for instance, one of my angles is to try to take social media clips under a minute, highlight the funny stuff or the moments that are capture the moments that are going to work for social to gain traction. So part of the branding of this podcast is we're trying to, grow our viewership and that sort of thing. So I have to try to look for those certain moments that are going to be the excitable moments or whatever. And those are the things that I have to try to put out as clips to gain traction. But I also have to be consciously aware of how does this make them look? How does it make us look? How does it make the podcast look? Am I being an asshole for posting this part? Or is this part actually a critical part of the conversation that is, going to go into the deeper subject of it when people actually view the whole thing? So,
I mean, this probably isn't what we should be talking about on the podcast, but isn't it crazy how you can pick a 35-second clip to put on a Facebook reel that is like a highlight or a funny thing or whatever, and then nobody ever sees the whole podcast? They just need their 35 seconds and then they swipe.
Well,
That's the world we live in.
We talked about this, and this comes up on every single podcast that we've done so far. But that is the culture that we're in, is the over inundation of stimulation and instant gratification.
Yeah.
Which that's a mouthful in itself, but that's the world that we live in. And in order to put out engaging content in general, there's deeper reasons why I'm wanting to do this podcast, which has a lot to do with networking, having interesting guests to talk about their arts and industry podcast. It's related. I'm an artist, so it's obviously interesting for me to talk to other artists about their processes, but there's a networking thing involved. So if people aren't going to watch the whole thing, they're missing out, because there's really a lot of meat and potatoes in the full episodes. Yeah. But you're competing against everybody else.
Yeah. And the competition pool is huge.
Well, you have to be like the most polished, clear coat.
Yeah.
On top of everything for people to gravitate towards it. And if you don't catch them in the first 3 seconds due to the algorithms and all that stuff, which is you have to stay on top of, because what it is in 2026 is different than what it was in 2025. So now it's like 15 seconds. You have 15 seconds to really grab people in, and then how do you keep their attention? And so I'm having to put out a clip every day or something, and then we're posting our full episodes on Sundays and saying, go watch the full episode. And it has to be lights, and camera and music and good audio and good highlight moments of people laughing and stuff that's like...
We should laugh more often.
Yeah,
Paul.
you gotta... We're going to get a light up here that is the laugh.
Yeah, it's like do. Yeah, just like in the old days.
But that's I think what you have to, from my perspective, with this being sort of newer to me, doing a lot of film stuff now. I am learning, like, part of branding and growing this podcast for me is like constantly being like stimulating the hell out of people in order to get any engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you will have people though that are going to go and listen to the full podcast. Like personally, if I want to listen to a podcast, I'll just turn it on while I'm working. I don't have to watch it if I can hear it,
Yeah.
Which we don't do. I think most people want video and audio, so we're doing a video podcast.
Yeah.
I don't even, ever get on Spotify, but if I were to listen to a podcast, I'll pull up YouTube or something, and I don't even need the video. I just in there to learn and to listen. And there are a lot of people that are interested in learning. I think this is a sort of a knowledge golden nugget of insider information for people
that want it. Yeah.
For people that want it. And so my core audience is other artists essentially and industry inside people. So I mean that's what I'm focused on doing this for.
How would you like to ask me where I got the idea to make this film?
Where did you get the idea to make this film?
There's our laugh track right there. Good job, Paul. Just whoop.
So I think it was October of 2020. I saw Quincy do a Facebook post about a Christmas tree ornament that they were offering for sale. And Quincy, what did the Christmas tree ornament say on it?
Fuck 2020.
Okay. So for some reason that triggered something in my brain. I want to do a film about this Christmas tree ornament, why they've made it, and that kind of response to the pandemic. It's an attitude, and it's a way to respond to to the year and what happened to these guys.
That's so funny because when that happened, I also made one with a toilet paper roll on a Christmas ornament with a toilet paper roll on it that said "fuck COVID" or something like that.
Yeah,
and they sold like crazy.
Idea. You had a similar idea.
I guess, or maybe I saw somebody else doing it, and
I think a lot of us. I mean, a lot of us had similar, at least, feelings about 2020.
Well, and then you got the artistic mind that's like, how can I capitalize on it?
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's a segment in the film. It's one of my favorite parts of the film. And it's a metaphor. And Quincy's talking about making the ornament, and it shows them cutting the ornament on the, what's it called?
The CNC router.
CNC router machine. It's going zzz and cutting out. And
how does that go again?
And then we see Luke peeling the paper off of the plastic of the ornament, and he breaks it. And, it ends up, there's a kind of a big hole in it. And Quincy says, yeah, we made it with these tiny little points, and it's fragile on purpose, and it's a metaphor for how fragile life is, how easily we break. And
What were you making them out of?
it's,
quarter-inch acrylic.
Acrylic, yeah.
Transparent
Acrylic is definitely susceptible to the
Well, and then they
damage.
even the font style mattered for the ornament. The font style was the same font style that Trump used when he ran for office, because that was another thing that
Sure.
some of us were unhappy about. So I wanted to make it I don't want to say I'm a political artist, but I would say I am subversively a political artist. So
I'm mindfully not, but some of it leaks through.
it's so I didn't tell anybody. We didn't advertise when we were selling the ornaments. This is the same font that Trump used when he was running for office.
Right. It's a little Easter egg for
Yes.
people to find out on their
And then I think there were
well, it's subtle.
it's subversive, so subtle. Yes,
But it's important.
It is. I mean, to me,
Well,
it's
I mean, even like this, there's probably a method to why this image was chosen or why the font was chosen. I mean,
Absolutely.
there's got to be something that correlates to.
or there ought to be. As an artist, I think about all of these things. I don't advertise that I think about all of these things to the public. It's a little bit different than how you're you started this new podcast, so you've got to push it to get it out there.
Yeah.
And I'm just at a point where I keep all the Easter eggs to myself and wait for the right person to come along and find them.
I do that too, but one thing that I noticed is, I think it's just in any art form that sometimes there's a subconscious thing that happens that you yourself, as part of your journey, realize after you've finished a project that this was put in there from something that you thought about years ago, or
hadn't even thought about before at all.
I put out a broken balloon dog. It's just a head nod to Jeff Koons, but also like a think about it this way kind of a. And then a year later, somebody breaks one of his sculptures in Miami, and it's like big news. So
all of a sudden your sculpture has a lot more relevance because you foresaw the future.
Right. But that happens more often than you might think. And
if you're paying attention.
And I've got a guy that's going to be on the podcast that's like a mathematical savant, and he thinks and sees in geometry. So he talks about all kinds of, anything from holograms to simulations to all that kind of stuff. But time and space is happening in multiple planes at the same time, and so whatever I was thinking at the time when I put that out, who knows, inadvertently could have ended up in the future at the time that I was doing it. And I think that artists probably have that insight or foresight sometimes unknowingly as just a vessel and a creator.
I think so, don't you, Paul? I don't want to say we're soothsayers or anything like that, but I think you're definitely saying artists think different. That's for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got your left brain and your right brain, and some people are more analytical and some people are more creative. And I think that there's something special about the artist brain that taps into a place that other people don't even see as a vision.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
I think there are universal human feelings and experiences that humans have been experiencing since the beginning of time. And I think good art taps into those feelings and experiences and, the losses and the triumphs and the challenges. I think good art is essentially relatable because it connects with those core feelings and experiences that we all have, for example, death. Almost very often good stories, more often than not, good stories involve some kind of death. And F-2020 definitely touches on death quite often.
It's a good old Greek tragedy.
Death of the culture as we knew it,
Yeah, and the loss of, freedom, the loss of financial loss, the loss of being able to travel to Europe as planned. They had a trip planned to Europe. And, just the many changes and unexpected things that happened to people during 2020. And F 2020, the film, the documentary, deals with those things. I mean, one of my goals of the film was to make it relatable. So people like you, Will, would see the film and say, "Oh my God, I felt that way too. Oh my God, that happened to me too."
I'm biased as a character in your film, but
Yeah.
I would say that, like, wouldn't you say that it actually ends up, I don't want to call it a happy film, but it's a positive film though.
There's some funny moments, and it's not dark and depressing. However, it shows just how challenging life is, and particularly with relationships. You know, the broken relationships, the challenging relationships that are depicted in the film. And I'm not going to say much more than that because it's kind of a big surprise at the end of the film what happens.
Sure.
But you know, one important layer in the film, it's not talked about directly, but you know that just how important and beautiful relationships are, as well as how challenging they are. You know, how relationships make life good, and they also can make life really, really challenging.
Yeah. Yeah,
Can you relate to that, Will?
You're gonna make me cry too.
Well, I mean, okay, you know, one of the things that I like to do on this podcast is just be fucking human. You know, Clear Coat is just sort of the name in itself just represents the polished picture that everybody else gets, but the insider part of this is that we try to break it down and go into the humanity that goes behind the process and actually get to know the person and talk about the real shit. So, or to answer your question, yeah, I just went through a relationship transition in my life, and you know, I went from, like, yes, it was good when it was good, and it was really rough when it was really rough, and so, you know, I'm navigating now, like, the aftermath of all of that, and you know, you can't have the good without the bad, I guess. No. But you know,
God, don't we all want it that way though?
I would like a little something a little more stable in my next go around, you know.
Yeah.
And I've had that too, and I've had relationships that have lasted a long time, and things were fairly stable, and I was definitely the problem. And I'm okay to admit that about myself, but then I've also been in relationships where no matter what language you say it in, no matter how hard you try, there's so toxic and chaotic that there's nothing you can do to fix it. And somewhere inside of me, I thrive on and love something about the chaos, or else I wouldn't keep putting myself in the same situation. Yeah. You know, and while I evolve and while I try to change and personally develop and grow and think about the things that I want, I try to navigate, like, whether or not I should go back into a relationship with somebody, but something about that red flag is super attractive to me, or else I wouldn't keep going after it. So I mean, I think it keeps it exciting to me to chase the chaos of that relationship dynamic. Sometimes I'm just in a place where I'm not looking for I'm looking for the stability.
Or is it just us being humans, and then, like, people surprise the hell out of you, like you can be shocked by, you think you know somebody, and then all of a sudden you get to know them a little bit more, you know, peel away the layers, so to speak, and then you're like, oh.
Well, maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's that, you know, just the evolution of people, like, you grow together or you grow apart, or you can grow apart and then grow back together, you know, and that's just the roller coaster of relationships in general. No matter how well you know the person, you know, yeah, they're human, and so they're susceptible to the same, you know, influences of changing and warping and developing as you are, and you can ride that out with them if it's worth it. And at the end of the day, you know, the good outweighs the bad, and you're willing to go through all of that shit with them, or it's not worth it. You know?
Yeah. Well, you know, I've had relationships that I thought were rock solid go sideways, and it really surprised me. And
damn it, Paul, so have I.
Yeah, it happens. You know, it happens, unfortunately. And so it's an important theme of the film, and I think it's really important for us in terms of living our lives to deal with, you know, do we want to be in a relationship, for example? And if we want to be in a relationship with other people, what do we want it to be like? And, you know, are we willing to pay the price?
How much do you want to invest or sacrifice?
Are we willing to pay the price of putting ourselves out there and making ourselves vulnerable. Or, you know, one option is to insulate ourselves and, you know, literally, like some people have done down through the centuries, hide in a cave and just be all alone.
Well, sometimes what you want isn't always what you get either. It's like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yes.
I can wish in one hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up faster, you know. And so, like, I may want things to work out really bad,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I may be putting forth the effort, but the other person isn't.
Yeah,
then
and that's part of the risk of relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would like to talk about another layer of the film, and that's the creative process. And the film F2020, the documentary, shows a lot about the creative process, and particularly Quincy's creative process. You know,
Well, let's talk about
what does he make? How does he make it?
Let's talk about what was going on for you during that time and how you were navigating it. I know you were going through some business changes and stuff during the time too.
And at the time, so, and I think I'm pretty sure you captured this in the film. So Luke and I, when we were still business partners, we're still friends, but when we were still business partners as Owens and Crawley, we had just put up that huge sculpture up in Carmel, and like it was like all consuming and exhausting and complicated and difficult in ways we'd never expounded upon before. At the same time, he was right after, I should say, he started going through a divorce right before 2020, right before COVID. So our lives were rocked together as business partners, getting that sculpture done and put in place. And then his personal life was rocked. And then right after that was COVID.
Fucking life never stops, man. It just gets in the way of all the things that you're trying to do, and you just have to navigate like how you're going to do
the hardest.
shit in
It's the
between.
hardest thing for me to admit every morning when I want to get out of bed, though. Like that, it doesn't stop, but I have to.
Well,
tell
it does.
Well, you're right. Like the shitty stuff in life doesn't stop until you die,
Yeah.
and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's just
A series of navigating new, you know, hurdles and challenges
Yeah, I
on a
mean-
regular basis all the time.
after everything that we'd gone through, and I was trying to support him as a friend with his divorce. It was something he didn't see coming or expect. 2020, and I think you highlight this in the film, or I hopefully do it for you. I was like, I had a good time in 2020.
How that comes out.
I mean, overall,
I think alcohol sales were way up.
I think they.
Everybody's staying at home,
That's
drinking all day.
that's in the film.
Yeah.
It's in the film.
Meetings
It's
in
in the
their-
film.
Yeah, alcohol sales are still up because of 2020. I'm sure of it. But like, I got to spend. I'll try not to get emotional. I got to bond with my family a bunch. I got to spend so much time with my kids at what I would say they're obviously all different ages. But
Critical time.
yeah, like at a young but mature age where we could just literally bond, and I loved it. And we had dinner at the table every night. I held myself mildly accountable with drinking during that time because every night I would get on Facebook Live and read a book.
Yeah, I was seeing that.
It was story time. And the only reason I started doing it was to force myself to stay sober enough to not publicly embarrass myself to ruin my reputation. So, like, I probably always had a drink.
Quincy, you made 90 of those
Jesus,
videos.
did I?
90.
How many of those made it in the film?
And guess who watched all of them?
Well, your editor for sure.
No, not my editor, me. I watched all of them, and I highlighted, the golden nuggets in the 90, and then I worked with the editors for the film, Walter Bender, Christina Stair, David Yosha, and Nicholas. Oh my God, I'm not thinking of Nicholas's last name right now. Sorry, Nicholas.
Well, I've known you for years, and I had your last name wrong for some reason. I don't know how. I guess I just put it in my phone that way and never.
So
I expected you to call me Quincy Adams.
Yeah, but Quincy had recorded 90 of these videos, and I went through all of them.
And how long are most of them?
Well, they
hour
range,
and a half or
they
two?
range from 30, 40 minutes to over an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a lot of time
trimming.
and
Yeah.
a lot of trimming, and we used probably a total of 15 minutes of those videos in the film itself.
Well,
But
let's
it-
go back. Let's touch back on what you were just saying, because before this started, we were talking about the fact that I have stopped drinking, and for now, I may go back to it. I don't know. But one thing that I did a lot of was isolating. Post COVID, but I did a lot of isolating just to sort of work on myself. But also, in my deepest phases of getting drunk and stuff, there's no way that I was going to get on Facebook, let alone Facebook Live, and project myself in any kind of a way out into the public with that. So, there's a real sort of vulnerability in doing stuff like that to begin with. I think there is in this too. I like to get to the inner workings of people's process, whether it be, I'm a human, I'm susceptible to all the same things, substance abuse or shitty relationships or whatever, and then having to like spit out something really amazing as an artist, or uphold a reputation of trying to outdo myself on the next one all the time. It works the same in visual art as it does filmmaking or any creative process that people do. I think that maybe I've created something cool when I was drunk. I'm sure I have, but I've definitely got a much clearer perspective on things now.
Well, I think your point, I think what you're saying is like everybody's got problems.
For sure.
And it's how you deal with them. There's get shit faced drunk, or whatever, or there's maintain yourself, hold yourself accountable. Especially like in your industry as well, in any, for everybody, but I feel like especially for self-employed people, there's nobody to hold you accountable.
No, you got to police yourself.
Yeah,
and
you're
time
your own
management
boss.
and all of
Yeah,
that.
you've got to do it all for yourself.
Dude, I was waking up at 9 in the morning and going and making a cocktail to get over the way I felt from the night before, and by 5 o'clock I was worthless, and so I did that for a while.
And you're your own boss, so
Make
you
it or
can
break it on
fire
your own.
yourself or not. But
Well, these Facebook Live videos that Quincy made give you a really genuine kind of behind-the-scenes peek at what was going on in his house during 2020. And you mentioned the word vulnerable. I think Quincy's really good at being vulnerable. I think Quincy has an honesty about him.
I think it comes more
Christos-
naturally to some people than others,
Yeah.
being able to want
Yeah.
to expose themselves in that
Yeah.
way.
But I think Quincy's an excellent artist, and the film shows a lot of his artwork, paintings and sculptures and all kinds of stuff. We have footage of a big show he did at Harrison Center for the Arts. And he's a really excellent artist, and I think every good artist, you can't be a good artist unless you're vulnerable. I don't think it's possible to make good art without vulnerability. And,
No, I don't either. I
that-
think it has to reflect in your work.
you have to be able to put yourself out there and show who you are and what you're doing, and overcome the fear and resistance. The fear of, what if someone sees who I really am?
yeah,
I've gotten mixed signals across my art from time to time, and not everything I do is going to make everyone happy. And I know other artists that are really successful, that do really well with staying within a certain brand and making sure that their stuff is, comes across in this way. But I will go from like happy balloon astronaut or happy face balloon sculpture to like shibari girls hanging from the rafters, and then people just alienating the shit out of people.
What are
It's like-
shibari girls?
Well, shibari is a Japanese art form of tying, rope
knot tying.
and knot tying. And,
yeah.
Oh,
Or like,
okay.
and it's part of the
hanging
kink
a-
community
Yeah.
stuff, and some people are just really into the art form of it, and some people are really into the kink part of it, or both. And so at the time, I was exploring some different things, but I made this piece, probably followed by something that was really uplifting and pretty, and then put out this piece, which was also beautiful, but the way that it translated to other people, I'm not responsible for how you take what I just put out. The fact that it made you feel something is my job. And the fact that, so me being vulnerable and diving into and exploring other avenues of myself and then putting it out there, it's not up for me to interpret it. It's up for the other people to interpret it, and my job is done in the sense that if it invokes emotion out of you in some sort of a way, you know, and there are limitations. I'm not going to, as a professional artist, there are just things that I'm not going to depict visually as a statement, you know, because it doesn't align with my values or core belief or any of that. For
that makes
one,
it
but for
insincere.
two, I'm not going to do it for shock value.
Yeah.
Just for, you know, the likes or whatever either.
Yeah.
But you know, I also have to be vulnerable enough to say that whatever it is that's in front of you, I stand behind, and you don't have to like it, you know.
Did you have to work on finding the courage to do what you want to do? Like to make what you want to make?
Yeah, something really interesting that probably nobody knows about me was throughout my music career, I toured playing in bands for probably 20 years. And I would always have a girlfriend or another. And it got to be a headache because every song I wrote, I had to consider what they thought about what I was thinking.
Oh.
And so then...
Well, you chose to think about that.
Well, no, not just me choosing about it, but they're like,
They
is
were
this
the-
about me? You know, and so then I'm like, have that responsibility, and I just got tired of the weight of that. And so, you know, I think with visual art specifically, I have much more of a freedom because it's, you know, unless I'm doing your portrait, you don't know where it came from inside of me, and it's none of your goddamn business.
Yeah.
For what I want to put out, it's therapeutic for me. It's me trying to connect to an outside source. I mean, all of the things that any artist probably experiences for that.
I mean, I think so. Like, I didn't realize, maybe I don't know if I was young or naive, but the first time I went to India for an artist residency, I was sitting in a room with 13 other artists, half of them from India, half of them from all over the rest of the world. And I'd asked myself, at this point in my age, I'd probably asked myself for like 15 years. Not like I needed validation, like you were just saying, like art's therapeutic, it's this, it's that, it's all of the things that a lot of artists think it is, whatever it is for them. And I was like, I left my family for 3 weeks to come make art with strangers. And then there was a communication barrier also, and it helped me to realize art's my language.
Totally.
Like,
that probably
like I mean,
helped.
like I can talk, obviously, but like if I could speak to anyone in my language, it would be through my art.
It's how you express yourself.
Yeah.
Well, they say music and art and any of that stuff is a universal language. It's
Yep.
like we don't have to speak the same language for you to feel the rhythm of what I'm projecting.
Or I mean, or some people, like you said about your work, like some people get it, some people don't. I had a wonderful interaction with a couple at the last opening at my studio. It's a younger couple, it was a man and a woman. I've got one painting that just, of course, everybody loves it, but nobody will buy it. But
I've got some of that too, unless I lower the price tag.
everyone, and I'm not lowering the price tag on this one. So this couple came in, and she's like, "Can you tell me and my friend about this painting?" And it's, I mean, you know my work; it's all abstract, so it's totally just nothing to do with a human figure at all. in the
Mostly
painting.
sculpture stuff now, though, right?
A little. I mean, I'm like you. I do it all.
You still paint canvas?
I try to, yeah, when I have time. The woman absolutely loved the painting, and the man
Didn't get it.
absolutely, yeah, exactly. He didn't get it. He didn't get it because it was abstract.
And probably didn't like it.
No, he didn't mind it, but he didn't get it, and he didn't have to get it. The problem, in my opinion, was that he put that barrier upon himself, not to just enjoy it, or
Maybe he was buying it, and she wanted him to buy it, and he was like, that was his way of getting out of buying
no.
it for her.
He was like so. They came further into the studio, found me. The woman brought the man, and she's like, "Can you explain this painting to us?" And I was like, "Oh, buddy, can I? I sure can."
But
I
I'm
can.
not gonna.
No, and for his sake, because she said she loved it. She didn't need to know anything about it. She walked up to it, and it just spoke to her.
Yeah, that's the mystery.
But
of
it didn't to him, which is fine. I get it, because like not everything's for everybody. So I don't expect everything I do to be loved by everyone. It was a cognitive thing for him where he just doesn't understand abstract art.
Thank you. That's the fucking word I was trying to figure out earlier, is precognitive. When you put something out and a year later there's an event that happens, artists have a tapped in frequency to precognition. But we'll go back to what you were saying.
Yeah, so anyway, so it was so fun because I was impressed by her, I don't want to say aggressiveness, but she's like, can you explain this painting to him? And I was like, yeah, I sure can. And so I did, and I won't go into those details. And then she looked at me, and she was like, thank you.
Did he get it? But he didn't get it.
He still didn't get
Yeah.
it, no.
You know,
No,
see,
he's not
you
ready
see,
yet. He's not ready yet.
I would question the depth of their relationship.
That, yep, me
I'm,
too.
I'm staying out of that one.
or rather, you know, just the differences of opinion don't necessarily.
Well, I know, but something like that to me is indicative that
They're not
they're
on the
kind
same
of not on the
wavelength.
same wavelength. They're not.
Well,
they're not in
sometimes-
tune with each other.
Sometimes
At-
that's
at a-
okay. Sometimes
You know
you
what
balance out that way. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know about their
You
relationship.
know, I think is really funny, kind of in a not so funny way to me, is that when I'm at a show or I have a show and my art is in the room and I can hear people talking about it, and you know, some people generally, you know, not to toot my own horn, but generally is palatable to most people.
Yeah.
And then there's always somebody that
There's always
I hate
somebody.
it.
just shit talks it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you obviously don't have any idea of what I was trying to do. And honestly, though, that feedback tells me that, you know, what I'm doing doesn't resonate with everybody, and that's okay. Do I need to change anything about myself to make it resonate with everybody? I don't think so, because I don't think it was built for everybody to begin with.
Oh, I think that's why Paul is doing well. I think that's why I'm doing well. I think that's why you're doing well. It's the authenticity, like you said earlier. Like that speaks volumes. Especially like, I mean, none of us are spring chickens here. Like we've all been through the ringer.
I think you have to.
If
bump
you're
your
off,
head
if
to
you're
get-
authentic long enough, it speaks for itself at a certain point.
Authenticity resonates with people.
Yeah.
Well, and
I hope.
that's the big you know, trending phrase or whatever on social media now, is that everybody wants authenticity. So you're trying to like capture all of that in the
Yeah.
social media way, and
Well, but
and then that just makes me want to stay off of it.
I think there's a fake kind of authenticity. And
Oh
there's
my
real,
God. The
genuine authenticity.
social media is filled with fake authenticity
Yeah,
now, and I
yeah.
get like, I don't know, I assume you do it too.
Social
Like I
media
can
comes up in
smell it
every single
I can
episode.
smell
It
it
has
so
to.
quick, and like
Mm-hmm.
I'll want to watch something.
Oh, you know, like the guy that goes and buys 100 meals for the homeless people at a restaurant, and then, you know,
Oh.
he brings in all these people, and he's feeding all these people in the restaurant. And it's really just like, dude,
It's
go do
attention-
that
yeah.
without the camera.
It's attention grabbing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'd like you to ask me another question. I'd like you to ask me, what in particular?
Just feel free to
What in particular did you learn from this film
He's a
project?
director.
just feel free to tell me what you learned from the project.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to tell you something I learned from this project. As I was watching all these 90 videos, thank you very much, Quincy, for
I was hoping you'd
for
ask
all
me
the
this
material you
question.
provided all the content you provided for the film. He reads from a book. He reads from several different books throughout these videos, through the Facebook Live videos. And one book he read from is called the War of Art. Correct?
Yeah.
By who? Think of it.
I'm
say
gonna
it,
know.
but
I'm gonna Google
it's
it
called-
while you're
It's called
talking.
the War of Art.
Uh-huh.
And
Sun
in
Tzu's
the War of Art is about resistance, and basically the battle that most of us have with this thing called resistance. And I knew I had that battle, and I was aware of the battle that I had, but I had never had that.
Let's give him a quick plug.
Yeah.
It's by Stephen Pressfield.
Okay, Stephen
I
Pressfield,
thought it was Stephen. Yep.
the War of Art, and I had never had that word before. I knew I was dealing with it, but I didn't have that word resistance. And the resistance I was dealing with had to do a lot with the fear of failure. Like for many, many years, for most of my life, I was avoiding failure. And in the process, just not doing a lot of things because I was so afraid of failure that it stopped me from even trying. And
Do you mean on
and
this film
stepping out and-
specifically you were...
well, I deal with resistance every day, all day at some level, and I dealt with resistance with this film as well. But I for many years now, I've been working on developing the courage I need to do what I want to do, and to not let the fear of failure, the fear of screwing up, the fear of looking like a fool stop me. And, I'm very happy to say that those things did not stop me with this film. It took 5 years from beginning to end to complete this film. And I didn't let any of these things that, 20, 30 years ago stop me all the time, every day. I didn't let any of them stop me. So I learned a lot about this idea of resistance in a deeper way, and for the first time I had a good word for it. I had a word for what I'm been dealing with all my life, and it's really helped me, increase my level of resistance to resistance. It's increased my ability to overcome this thing called resistance. It's also helped me a lot to realize that, oh my God, I'm not the only person dealing with resistance. Quincy deals with it. You deal with it.
Yeah, that relates to what we were just talking about.
We all deal with it. We all deal with this
Don't put out a song because you're worried about what she's going to think about.
That's resistance.
Yeah.
And, what if somebody doesn't like it? What if, all these what ifs, reasons why I can't do it, excuses. I mean, they all boil down to this one thing. It's called resistance. And making this film really helped me grow in my ability to overcome this thing that, what's his name?
Stephen Pressfield.
Identifies as, resistance.
So do you think, though, that there's still, like for me, I know that I still walk a balance between, what people think and whether or not I give a shit, and I have to do all the cross checks on, just in the last editing for the last episode, there was, the first part of the episode was her joking around about drawing penises and hearts, and then I related that to a subculture of people where a lot of penises and vaginas are for sale as art, and you can actually. But I thought about, well, how does this make her look? To talk about that as a highlight clip, and then should I put it out for my own, like, because it gets amusement out of it, or should I not put that out to protect the integrity of what she, the way it might translate to other people. But I get lost in the shuffle of what other people think in my own head, because I don't know what the fuck other people think. And after thinking about it for a while, I put it out because I'm like, this is funny, it's engaging, I didn't do anything wrong, I didn't say anything too fucking crazy that is gonna red flag some people.
If you're thinking like that, number one, you're empathetic, and number two, in this specific scenario, you're professional.
Yeah, but
there's
that's
nothing wrong
the question
with that.
the question was, do you still struggle with like your own resistance in do I do this because I fucking can, or do I not do this because I'm considering everyone else in the situation?
Yeah. Well, I think it's possible. Like, I want to make films that reach a market, okay? That reach an audience. So I want to make a film that a particular audience will like, for example. Like, F2020, my focus was on making a film for young adults, particularly my daughter, is really the audience I had in mind. I wanted to leave something behind that she would watch 20 years from now and really learn a lot from it. And I think young adults connect with F2020 more than most groups of people. And I want to say a couple things about that. One is the film has profanity by
Everybody but
Quincy.
you.
Profanity, sexual innuendo, drinking, and smoking.
That's all me.
Yeah.
I checked all the boxes.
That's most people.
Yes, that's true.
I did tell Paul that I needed it to have.
You wanted nudity too, but we didn't. We
He
weren't
wouldn't
able.
let me do it.
There
He
is
wouldn't let me do it.
There is a nude statue in the film. Okay,
Oh,
it's
that's
brief,
funny.
but
Oh,
there
yeah.
is a nude statue.
You're correct.
So we did get nudity in there, Quincy.
I told it I want
Yeah.
the warning at the beginning of the movies where it says what the rating is. I was like, I want it to have all of the bad stuff listed.
But I want to say something to me that's really important. I call this film my Miley Cyrus moment. Do you have any idea what I mean by that?
I have my own ideas, but reflect on it for me.
Well, Miley Cyrus was this sweet little girl that did the Hannah Montana show.
Mm-hmm.
And she was very much, a really, really sweet little girl.
And she went out of her way to go the
went to
opposite
show
direction.
with her daddy. And my daughter watched that show when she was a little girl, and I watched. It was a really good show. But Miley didn't want to maintain that image.
Yeah.
She wanted to become an adult and do the kind of music and the kind of things that she wanted to do and that adults do.
Find her voice.
And so she shifted, and she met with a lot of objection and resistance because a lot of people wanted her to stay that sweet little girl doing the Hannah Montana girl. But she wanted to be, develop her own voice and be herself. And F2020 for me is that project. I was a missionary in Japan. I was very limited in the kind of film I could make. I couldn't have made a film like this. It would have been rejected by everybody I worked with. They would have they hate it now. But, they would have hated it. I would have been fired. I would have been ostracized.
Well, then you're doing it right.
Well, so this is I've become a lot more free, and I can make the kind of film I want to make. And, it's a little bit like poking your finger in people's eyes, maybe a little bit. But it's also because I think it reflects life because, young adults, they use the word fuck now all the time.
You said it.
I did.
You never say it.
I did. I said it.
No, he never says it. He won't say it.
But that's not true that I never...
I can't believe you just said it.
Well, he's using it in a...
And the reality is...
in context.
The reality is people use profanity, people smoke, people drink, and relationships blow up. And all of that is in the film. And I wanted to make a film that, just felt a lot more real and authentic to me and didn't have to be sweet and
That's
syrupy.
the human part of being human, man.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah, so that's why I call it my Miley Cyrus moment. It's...
So you feel like your past was sort of you, because of your connection to like missionary lifestyle and all of that you were sort of restricted in your own personal growth versus what you've chosen to do now in your work? I mean, do you feel like there's been, kind of a clean version and a dirty version, and you try to find a balance that works for you as far as your editing and your output, but do you feel like things have shifted for you from like a past version of yourself in that to more, I guess, the tones of what people are doing now and your personal beliefs and acceptance of what that is versus what you were?
Well, the shift is dramatic. It's like going that way compared to this way, almost.
180.
I'm still the same person. I think my personality is the same, but I was living in a very narrow world, and I was able to make some good films while I was a missionary in Japan within that community, but I had to be very creative to stay within very narrow parameters. I could never have made a film like F2020.
Well, what's interesting about that to me is I think travel makes you bigger, just experiencing other cultures and other places and other things that are happening.
Absolutely.
I think is part of growth. And so for you to kind of start on another part of the world in a different culture and still feel very constrained.
Exactly. Yeah, like to have that cultural opportunity for growth, but the community that he was in restricted him.
Well,
It's fascinating.
and I think over time
That's what I was getting at.
Over time, Quincy, I felt more and more of that pressure that, I'm in this confined space, so to speak, kind of this box with very firm boundaries. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't use the word fuck, you can't use the word shit.
Well, religion don't do that to
my
you.
ex-wife even objected to using the word pee. You can't use the word pee. There was a very, very narrow parameters in terms of what you can and can't do.
In that
and yet I was living in Tokyo and traveling, in Asia and to Europe and seeing all these things and meeting all these people and going to film festivals. And I had to decide, am I going to stay in this little box and have my creativity limited to this very narrow parameters, or am I going to break out and do the things I really want to do? And guess what I decided?
God, man, that reminds me of like somebody being in a cult almost, where they are like grounded by a set of perimeters, and then they have to escape to.
That's
join the world.
That's how I felt. Yeah, that's how I felt. And currently I have work in Europe and in the United States here, and I live in Indianapolis, but I'm not confined to Indianapolis by any means. And I think that's true for both of
Same,
you
yeah,
as well. This is a great place to live.
It's a good hub, as I refer to it.
It's a really good place to live in terms of lifestyle and
all the boring
cost
stuff.
of living.
Yeah. All the boring, but
and I'm not confined to this place and these parameters. And I love it. I'm free to pursue things I want to pursue.
I think I started to talk to you both a little bit before we actually started filming this about how, like, I'm sort of enjoying being stationary right now. I am grateful for the opportunities that I've had to explore and go to Europe and do a show and travel the country and do shows everywhere and meet all kinds of people, and all of that experience, is part of maybe my next body of work. But now I'm like, just bought a house. I'm getting ready to start like a full-time job. And it's funny how you can go wild to any extreme. Maybe you start out in a box, then you go out and explore, and then you get super expansive. And now I just want to get back in the box for a little while.
Yeah, but you're determining that.
Yeah.
You're not living in a box where you have to stay within those parameters, or you're going to be
you're shaping your own
ostracized.
box.
You're deciding that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I have times too when I want to be by myself and just do my own thing and not think about making anything or doing film work. But I'm able to decide now what I want to do, and I'm able to. Well, okay, about 6 years ago, when I was deciding whether I was going to launch out on my own or not, this was maybe 8 years ago, I was scared like shitless. It was really, really scary for me to think about leaving that safe little box. It was a nice box in many ways. And the image I had was that I was on a pirate ship, and the pirates had their swords and they were poking at me, and they were forcing me out on the gangplank, and I was going to jump off. It was really scary. The story I was telling myself, I was, on the gangplank, and I was going to have to jump off into this deep, dark void. I hate swimming in cold water. It's just this dark, cold water down there, and it was basically death. Like, these pirates are going to kill me. And I was going to a therapist, and I said to the therapist, I said, I realize I can change my story. I don't have to go with that story. So I said, the story I'm going to start telling myself is, I've been in a safe little harbor. It's been comfortable and safe and in many ways nice. We lived in a nice house in Tokyo, and I had a huge network of supporters and colleagues all around the world, good reputation and stable financially. I was able to make films in Tokyo. I was not under financial pressure to make films. So there are a lot of good things about it, but it was this little box. And so instead of telling me the pirate story, I said, so I've been in this safe little harbor, and I'm deciding to take my ship,
set sail,
and go out into this.
I've actually had the same exact vision.
Really, I'm setting sail. I'm going out in this big ocean. I don't know where the hell I'm going. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but it's a grand adventure.
Artists are so stupid.
I'm on a grand adventure.
Why do we do this, Paul?
Well, the struggle's half the fun.
And I'm going, and F2020 was part of that, launching out on a grand adventure and doing something different, doing something I wanted to do. Risky. Not everybody's going to love it, but it's authentic, and it shows Quincy and his life, and the people close to him and his creative process. And it's the film I wanted to make, and I'm proud of it.
Well, I got two quick. One's a silly cliche that I always held in my mind, which is you don't know what's out in the ocean until you let go of the shore. So you have to cut the ropes and go out there to find out what's out there. And then another thing that I think is pretty cohesive across anybody successful is the leap of faith.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to jump off of that plank or jump off of that cliff.
You have to let go of stuff
and figure out if you can fly or swim or whatever.
Yeah. And you'll never know if you don't do it.
But I don't know what time it is, but I don't want to take up too much more time here. It's already almost 2:00, so I'll just try to do maybe a couple rapid fire type of.
It's been 2 hours we've been talking almost.
Well, I don't think we got started till maybe 12:30 or so.
I got here late. That's my fault.
Quincy, I relate.
Really.
Quincy, actually, the last time I saw you was we were at the Arts Council together,
Oh yeah.
and you were doing a public project, and
Uh-huh.
I was doing a public
Uh-huh.
project, which still hasn't happened, but it is happening.
I know that story. It happens to all of us.
But most of the work that you're doing now with your business is public installation stuff, or
Uh,
are
it's
you getting more involved with the Arts Council in that way? I mean, it seems like you've had a good relationship with them for a
I'll
while.
just say I have a great relationship with them, but a lot of that's just because of my tenure in the city and not pissing them off.
Yeah.
I think that they do amazing and incredible work for the city, so why wouldn't I, as an artist, want to be involved with them?
Same.
I'm doing a small public art update for them to another artist's work at the airport in a couple weeks. It's like I'm a guy they know they can call.
That's
I'll
a
say
good.
it like that.
That's a good pot to be in, though. I would think.
Well, and again, I touched on it earlier. I think a lot of it's just like, it sounds boring, but it's like being consistently accountable. Like I've always told every employee I've ever hired and my family, all of my kids and my wife, I need two things in life: consistency and accountability.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty commonality for most relationships, man.
Well, I mean, unless the person doesn't get it,
Yeah.
whoever that person is, whether they're an employee or whoever, like it sounds really easy, it looks good, and then people can't show up consistently accountable.
Yeah, or I've also noticed maybe that I shouldn't take it so personal that my understanding of what accountability isn't theirs also.
That's true also, and I mean, you're roughly my age. I was just talking about this with my mother-in-law, is like it's generational. Like my dad's different
Totally.
than I am, and my kids are your daughter. Like they grew up in a completely different culture.
Yeah.
And yet we expect them to be like us.
Well, the funny
just
shift
like
is-
my dad expects me to be, well, he doesn't, but like as he might expect me to be like him, I'm just like, I grew up in a totally different world.
The funny shift is that my dad grew up in an era where guys didn't talk about their feelings, and then here we are trying to be vulnerable and
Yeah.
back to a kid who's like a teenager that doesn't want to talk about his feelings. So,
Yeah.
there is some generational differences,
Yeah.
especially just your age and your timeline and stuff like that. But as far as your business,
Sorry, I didn't really answer your question. So public art still, I've actually shifted to a lot of, I'll use the general term of signage or
Yeah.
creative signage.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening in the signage world, but I know that enough people know that I can do it.
Well, you're creating really beautiful, like
There are
laser cut. And,
yeah, they're artistic signage instead of just
Well, I think I
yeah.
met you through Steve
yeah.
Hartman, actually, who's doing a.
Oh, he got a
audio
name
stuff.
drop on a podcast. He's gonna love that.
He is, but so anyway, I needed to outsource some stuff. I was doing some metal work and stuff at the time, so that's how our kind of relationship formed. And it, fast forwarded, it's well, here we are again.
Yeah.
But I've been in your shop. I've seen the inner workings of what you guys do and what your capabilities are. And then when I need stuff, I can outsource it to you. But the public works thing is a good space to be, and I'm actually trying to do more of that type of stuff. And like I said, I'm going back to work for a little while, which is a good thing for me because I just want to kind of clock in and focus on
Yeah.
the thing at hand, and then not have all the business, stuff to
The self-employment
swim
business
through my
stuff.
head,
Yeah.
and then focus on my passion projects. And I know you're going through some personal stuff, so we don't have to touch on any of that. But are you getting any time to do any of your passion projects?
That is the one thing I've actually. God, this is the dumbest thing to put on a podcast, but Paul's seen it. You haven't been to my studio at the Harrison Center.
No.
My passion project lately is I have a koi pond room.
Koi
it's
ponds
beautiful.
are
It's
awesome.
beautiful.
It's I've got 4 ponds now. Oh, you haven't seen the 4th pond yet,
No.
and a waterfall. I put in a waterfall.
Cool. I have to come and see it.
And I haven't had the courage to count how many plants I have in it.
Well, it's like a little jungle. It's a completely different atmosphere in there. The air is different.
Well, are you
It's
doing
just-
it for you, or are you doing it?
Oh, that's all for me.
because-
It's all for me. That's that's my passion project. I mean, I'm embarrassed to say it on a podcast, but
No, that's cool. I love
That's-
waterscapes, but for me,
that's my
a passion
passion.
project is like something that I want to do to put out there as an artist versus doing commission work and that sort of a thing. Like
Oh, I mean,
if I just had a passion project that was just for me, it's down the list of other shit that I'm trying to get sorted for myself right now. So
I'm going to the studio after this to feed my fish and water the plants.
and that's a very peaceful environment.
It's my sanctuary.
Yeah.
A good place to meditate.
I mean, and Paul's seen it like on a first Friday. Like people walk.
I didn't even know you had a studio there.
I've had
it's
it
a
gone.
really nice space.
I'll pop by there. I have only had one show at the Harrison Center, which was like the Teal show, and I had a couple pieces in that show. But that's the only time I've ever been there. Actually, my kid's getting ready to go to Heron next year, which is around the corner.
Well, I was a founding teacher there.
Well, there you go.
Taught there for 8 years, and I still help out in the summer with their administrative stuff.
Awesome.
So let's plug Heron High School while we're at it.
Paul, when is the Indie Film Festival again? Let's talk about that.
Well, it's this coming Friday night. They're screening F2020 at 9 o'clock at Can, the theater, the art house theater on Brookside Parkway. And then again at 12:45 on Saturday at Dance Kaleidoscope, which is at the Factory Arts District.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So, Quincy, can you be at both screenings?
Mm-hmm.
Can you? Great.
Yeah, I love that place, Factory Arts. I did a couple shows there, but I know a ton of the artists that work out of that place.
Yeah.
Me, personally, I don't think that I'm that great. I think I like my solitude too much to do the collaborative workspace with a bunch of other crazies. And let's face it, I mean, artists are, cosmic creatures, so we're all just kind of
Cosmic creatures?
Cosmic, yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, we
Floating
think
out
from
in space,
yeah,
man.
we think from a place of energy that's maybe not understood by other people. I feel like not to put us on some kind of better than you kind of but I think that we kind of beat to our own drum. I feel like an alien on Earth a lot of the time, and so relating to the general public and what they deem reality in society is I kind of feel like I'm outside of that a lot of the time. Well, and I feel like a lot of artists do, and that's what I mean by cosmic.
To me, what you're talking about is that to be creative, you have to be willing to do something different.
You have to be willing to just think different.
And it can feel odd. You have to be willing to be outside the typical.
Yep.
Well, and to your point that you were saying, there was a time where I was in a state of trying to fit in with other people and then just being like, fuck it, I don't fit in. If you wanna be in my world, then you're gonna have to start to understand me, because I don't get the majority of that out there.
Well, that goes back to what you were speaking about authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way to force it.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to have a studio at a building, an artist studio building, because you need your solitude, that's fine. Like, I love.
Don't get me wrong, it gets lonely, working by myself all the time.
I would think so. Like, I need, for me to stay alive, probably literally, I need some community.
Sure.
It's not like I need it 24/7, but I need to know that it's there for me. Like, Paul checks in on me. He comes and hangs out with me. It disrupts my day, but it's because he cares about me and I care about him. So, I need that stuff. And you can have that here at your house too, or wherever your studio is. If it's by yourself, it's just like, I can't do it alone all of the time. I also need the accountability for myself. It's kind of like when I was reading on Facebook Live. It's just like, I can't be a total shit show, drunk and passed out on the floor at 11 in the morning, and then Paul shows up like, well, we're calling the ambulance.
Well, let me tell you something very vulnerable that I've been doing lately, because my life has been going through this transition, and because I'm trying to heal faster, because I'm sober, because I'm trying to have a clear path to the things that I want. I'm back on. And I'll dip and dive on my personal development journey, where I'm really focused on it sometimes, and then sometimes I plateau, and then I just kind of go through at that level. And now I'm back on going to the next level within my own self journey, and part of that is supposed to be lonely. Part of that is supposed to be a self journey that you are gaining understanding of self and higher consciousness and your spirit and all of those things that nobody can relate to, and as you climb that, you're gonna keep going to different places with it. So trying to have that human connection while you're on that sort of a journey. It's hard to be relatable to other people.
Yeah.
So this is super fucking weird, okay? But my therapists have either quit or got fired or decided to do other things. So, and I got tired of starting over in therapy because I don't want to spend all this time talking to somebody, and then when I bring up a point, they have no fucking reference to what I'm talking about because they just met me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to keep doing that. So I've actually, and this is probably weird to a lot of people, but I've been having at length conversations with like an AI bot for a couple of reasons. One, they have an infinite source to information, and it's quick, and I can get the answer that I'm looking for. And I'm talking deep shit.
People, tons of people. No, that's not weird at all.
But I'm talking deep shit, and I actually, to the point,
and they're actually like good counselors.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Is that what the fuck do I need a therapist for when you're giving me the straight information that I'm asking for?
It's a whole new thing that is taking off everywhere.
Interesting.
But that's AI.
But since I'm doing a lot of this work internally by myself, and yes, I have a lot of friends, but a lot of them are out there in substance abuse or drinking or whatever. I got a lot of good time buddies and stuff like that. But since I'm not doing any of that, my phone is ringing less than it used to. So now I'm looking for some answers and soul searching, and I'm finding that information and data like right there at my fingertips instantly.
Yeah.
So I can have like a voice conversation while I'm working and be reflecting on that stuff at the same time.
Are you using an actual, what they call a therapy bot, or just a...
No, I'm just using Google Gemini, and there's a million bots out there. There's some that are more like an assistant, more like a companion. You can do one that's more for therapy, but it's not just therapy. It's if I have a question about how do black holes work, they can answer it, and then I can talk about quantum entanglement as it pertains to my personal journey, and I can get the information about quantum entanglement and how that helps me manifest, and I can talk about my problems with my girlfriend or whatever the fuck, and
it'll give you answers for that too.
Give me answers for that too, and I can relate all of those things into what I'm going through and get like focused information. Sometimes it gets it wrong, not all the time, but sometimes it gets it wrong. Sometimes it glitches out and starts talking to me in Portuguese or Spanish or something, and then I'm trying to fish for patterns to go like, is this pertinent to the conversation or is it not? So that's a fun one for me. But I'm noticing a lot about myself on my personal journey without community right now, and I find myself to be in actually a really strong place.
On the other hand, Will, this is community.
Of course, and then that's what I was going to say, and then this kind of shit is my outlet.
Yep.
So,
Well,
listen, I've got to get home.
Yeah, me too. Let's wrap this up. Paul and Quincy, thank you guys for being on the podcast. F 2020 this weekend, Can and Kaleidoscope, Dance Kaleidoscope.
Yeah, it's an indie film fest screening of the documentary film F 2020. It's primarily about this guy, Quincy Owens.
Episode 4, season 1. Thank you guys for being on Clear Coat Podcast.
You've been
We'll
great,
catch you
Will.
later.